I'm Paul Hoffschmidt, founder and CEO of Alpha Sophia, and this week I'm joined by Nicholas Rosen, founder and CEO of Exaris Solutions. Thanks for joining us today, Nico. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for having me. Great pleasure. My name is Nico Rosen. I'm one of the founders and CEOs of Exaris Solutions. Myself, I'm 35 years old. My background is health economics, and I'm really happy to be on your show today.
And it's quite interesting that you're joining us today because our business models do have some similarities. You with Exaris focusing more on the European market while we focus on the US market. And there are also some other differences in how we structure our product and go to market. And I'm excited to discuss this with you today. But maybe to take one step back, and we're going to learn more about Exaris in a minute. But maybe you can share a little bit about the founding story about how Exaris was born and also how you would explain to a layperson what Exaris actually does.
Yeah. So the story behind Exaris, or the founding purpose, was quite easy because the founder of Exaris, we are three founders. We work together in a separate company, and there was the question to know more about the HCP, about the healthcare professionals. And we wondered why nobody knows really exactly much about the HCPs, although there's so much information in the open data space about the HCPs. And then we asked ourselves, so why is nobody extracting this? Well, because there was no technology. And then we started to build up a technology which is able to extract in any data source in the open data space information about the relevant HCPs you're looking for. And this is exactly our business model today. So when you are looking for a relevant HCP, you can ask us, and we will deliver you content-based the right HCPs for your question, indication, whatever you're looking for, based on the content which the HCP is communicating in the open data space.
Interesting. And maybe to make that a little bit more tangible, what are typical customers of yours? And maybe you can describe, like, in an anonymized way, a typical project you would do and how you would engage with those customers, what questions they ask and what they need that information for.
Yeah. Well, the typical customers of ours are pharmaceutical companies. And in the pharmaceutical sector, there are, of course, they're continuously developing new drugs for patients to treat patients in a better way for their diseases. And the question is always for the pharmaceutical companies, who is the relevant prescriber for my product? So my product will reach the patients who need my new product. And therefore, I need to know who is the relevant prescribers. And then, depending on the indication, it is quite hard to identify. I give you an example. When you have, for example, right now, one of the biggest topics in the pharmaceutical sector is GLP-1, the Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy topic of the companies who are developing those drugs. And so weight loss topic. So it's a very interdisciplinary topic, and many HCPs are working in this field. But to identify who's really relevant and who sees the most patients in this topic is quite hard. But content-based with our technology is quite easy, because when an HCP is talking about that he's helping patients to lose weight, or who does prevention in this adipositas topic, then we will find those HCPs, and the pharmaceutical companies use our data to contact then the HCP and present their new product, and to engage with the HCP to tell them, this is our new product, these are the benefits for your patients, and to engage them as a loyal prescriber.
Interesting. So what you're doing, and when you talk about the open data space, you basically mean everything, every data point that is available on the internet about healthcare practitioners, ranging from probably website offerings, but then also social media information, what they are publishing and so on. Is that correct?
Exactly. So everything where there's no paywall or where there's no register form necessary. So any source you can imagine we can search about a relevant topic. And this is the quite important step. So you need to be very precise. So for example, it doesn't make sense to search about diabetes type 1 because this is a huge indication. But you need to be very precise. What are you doing? What is your benefit? What should an HCP talk about in this huge indication area? And when you are very precise in this indication area, you will find exactly the HCPs you're looking for. And this is the good thing, that we don't have to define the sources. So it doesn't matter if it's social media, is it YouTube, Spotify, is it PubMed, or is it a magazine, whatsoever. If it's public and there's the doctor or the HCP and the content in a specific semantic way found, then we will recognize it and we can extract this.
So basically you've built a tech engine, a software engine, which is crawling the web across all sorts of sources and then structuring that data in a way that you can attribute it to different HCPs, and then you make that searchable for your clients, so and your customers, so that you can, if you're a pharmaceutical company, you're interested in that indication, or HCPs diagnosing that indication, you use proxies of things they might state on their website or mention somewhere else, and you make a list of all those proxy statements and then can identify those types of providers, correct?
Yeah, well, exactly. Adding to this, a very important step, of course, is the use of AI, because when you, of course, one step of our process is crawling, of course, but crawling is like 1% of this what we're doing, because when you crawl, well, you're a tech company as well, you know what crawling is. The crawling part is you're just gathering very unstructured information, and then from many sources, and you have many data. And then the next step is to identify, is there really a doctor mentioned in this? Is it a doctor, or is it somebody else who is talking about this? And then is the physician, the HCP, really connected to the content? Is he just really talking about it, or is he mentioned in this content? And then is the content relevant? So, and these three steps can only provide you AI. In this specific case, it's natural language processing. So I explain it always to my customers, what you can read with your eyes on maybe a website or whatever, and you get to the conclusion and say, yeah, well, this website and this doctor is relevant for me because of he's a doctor, he's mentioned as an expert, he's talking about GLP-1 analogar, or he's talking about the weight loss journey of patient, or he's talking about a rare disease, and you process this information. Exactly, this is doing our process for every physician in your market.
And is there not a bias in that technology that HCPs who publish more on their website and are more outspoken are probably favored over the ones who might also be experts and might also be seeing those patients, but don't do so openly?
Yeah, very interesting question, because of course there are HCPs who are communicating more or are publishing more, and others who are doing this less. But, and this is a very important part, when we would focus only on one source, we had this bias. We would have this bias because, when you just focus, for example, on the HCP office websites, only on the doctor's office websites, of course, for example, in Germany we have round about 65 to 70,000 HCP websites, and of course there are many websites where it's just written down, well, I'm Dr. Hoffschmidt, and I'm helping you. I'm helping my patients. That's it. And you might be the very expert for anything. But therefore, we search any source and every source. And when a physician is relevant for your topic, he will be mentioned, or he's talking in any source about this. And the accuracy is more than 90% because we see it in our customers, in our projects, that exactly this questions our customers always ask. So what about the FOMO, yeah, or the fear of missing out? Because when they're not communicating, and we see 90% of the physicians who are relevant for your indication, they are talking or at least are mentioned in magazines, in abstracts, in whatsoever, because we are not bounded to the source.
Interesting. So when you set up a project with one of your customers, with one of the pharmaceutical customers, you usually go through a discovery phase, discussing the product they aim to market and the indications behind it, and then set up a bespoke project for that customer to deliver the insights out of your system, right?
Exactly. So we define, well, first of all, we define of course, the indication. So what is because we are, our product is named Vertical Search. And this is very important because the concept behind a vertical search is quite easy because everybody of us is using it. You are using it all the time when you're, for example, using booking.com is also a vertical search. The content or the concept or the topic is predefined. So at booking.com, you're searching for hotels, for the right hotels for your journey. And in our vertical search, you have to define the indication you're looking for. And this has to be very precise. And therefore, we start with our customers in a content frame workshop. So we tell the customer, okay, make a wish. So tell us everything you wish that a relevant physician should talk about in any source. And then we describe personas, we describe the perfect physician, and we describe also not perfect physician. So somebody should not be found because they are, for example, the topic COVID, COVID-19. Of course, there are many physicians in the open data space who are not talking in a positive manner, like you should get the vaccination, you should keep your face mask on, and so on. There are many physicians who are talking in a negative manner, like it's hoax, it's whatever, and this is what we, of course, filtering and say, well, those physicians you don't want to talk to, and so we define everything, and then when the definition is done, we do the whole market extraction, and this whole market extraction is very important because at the end, when you talk about, it doesn't matter any indication, patient journeys are not connected to the specialty groups of physicians. So when you're working in an indication, for example, in obesity, there are GPs who might be general practitioners who might be relevant for you. There are specialty surgeons who might be relevant for you. There are orthopedics who might be relevant for you. And this is an important way that we then extract the whole market and see, look, there are people and physicians who might be in this direct specialty group you're looking for, but the left and right of your target group is very important for awareness, for knowing your market. This is quite important for our customers. And at the end, our customers get the data HCP based. So you will get a rating and the information about every HCP we found for you. And they have a very holistic picture of their market for their indication.
It's really interesting because we would, with Alpha Sophia, address really similar use cases, but do it in quite a different way. And I think one of the reasons is just because the kind of data which is available in the US market compared to the European market is quite different, where in the US market you can get access to HCP diagnosis and billing data and see what they are prescribing, which procedures they are performing, which types of patients they are seeing. And in Europe, that availability on an HCP level is just not there. So you need to basically start from the public realm. And also, I mean, the ways our products are structured are quite different. I mean, you develop those bespoke projects together with customers, whereas our platform is a self-service solution where we put in all the data and then have a lot of filtering dimensions, which let any customer of ours slice and dice the market in any sort of fashion they wish to, and then end up with similar results, which is like a segmentation of HCPs or practices or hospitals towards those who are a better fit for their product or solution they are bringing to market. That being said, I think you with Exaris Solutions, you started off in Germany, but you are now serving also international, especially the whole European market. Let's focus on Europe for a second, because especially for a lot of our listeners in the US, it might be interesting how the European market works, how it actually is compositioned. And I think one thing that would be interesting from your experience, is there actually a thing like one European market, or is it many ones? In which way are they similar? In which way are they different? What's your experience about that?
Yeah. So first of all, getting to the first point of our like two models, because we are at the end we are delivering to our customers, you as Alpha Sophia and we as Exaris, well, kind of the same results. We're like having at the end a list of like, these are the importance physicians for your market approach, right? But I think the main difference is that we, and this is getting to the second question, the structure of the market, because the US, in my opinion, is like more than 10 years in front of the European market, because the data is more like open-minded. It's more, you can find everything in a more structured way, and then putting your software on it and do it really, really accessible. Yeah. In the European market, there's no European country I know where you have such an accessible way to say, okay, I want to know the easiest way. I want to know every physician in Germany. Just a list. There's no list. You can buy it from supplier, of course. Yeah, you can buy it, but there's no official list which is provided in like for free in the open space. This is the first step, and there are a few systems in Europe which are providing this, and this is like the main pain also for our customers. To get this information is because there are no data hubs. There's nothing like in a central way organized. There's many, so often it's like federal systems and so many different structures in the healthcare systems, and therefore the data is very unstructured. And this is like one of the biggest challenges in every market. Of course, like talking about the European market, there's not this European healthcare systems. Some are similar to another, some are very different. I would say the German system is one of the biggest and complicated system, because we have many things which are very unique. But for example, then you have the NHS in UK or other systems who have their own like specialties and own features, but always have this one thing: no centralized data hub where you can get this relevant information you are looking for. Because at the end, and I think it's quite interesting why this is the fact, because at the end what we are trying to provide is to our customers, and you also, is that they can deliver their innovative products to the right physicians, that the right physicians treat the patients in a best and modern way. Yeah. So everybody should be like interested in this, that this process is quite easy, but it's not. It's like every time they have a new feature, or our customers, or a new drug or a new product in MedTech or whatever, they always struggle and say, well, who's relevant? Who's doing this diagnostic? Who's doing this treatment? And when there wouldn't be companies like yours and ours, it's quite hard to get this information.
Okay, MedDevice folks, picture this. What if you could open up a CRM today and it already contained information for every potential lead for you in the country? And you could narrow down those leads further by looking at billing, location, seniority, so much more. Alpha Sophia is the strategy tool that we wish we had had when we were commercializing a medical device in the US market. But there's nothing stopping you. So visit alphasophia.com and learn more.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So in a nutshell, there is not one European market. Every European market is different. But what is similar about all the European markets, especially in comparison to the US market, is that the data you have to do great HCP targeting always emerges from a wealth of unstructured data, whereas in the US market, you can rely on much more structured data sources, which you then just augment with further unstructured data sources to bring together really specific and precise HCP targetings. And then also, I think another point you made, which is quite interesting, is that understanding that the US market, when it comes to HCP targeting, is just somewhere 10, 15 years ahead of the European market, and just gives much more sources to do that in a structured way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going a little bit back to Exaris, you having described typical projects of yours and how you work with your customers who are mainly in the pharmaceutical space. Can you share a little bit what you're currently focusing on, maybe looking ahead the next couple of months?
Yeah, so we are focusing on two big topics. One topic is the going to Europe and going international, because our technology is in general like working in every country in the world. But as already mentioned, there are some countries where, like, for example, like if what we already talked about, Paul, is like combining, like for example, your technology and our technology is like having a structured market in one software solution, and then putting on like we could use our AI to build in with your data for like personas and whatsoever. But this is like going international, specific in Europe, is one of the biggest topics right now, and this is working really, really well because we have already several big European projects with several companies who have like, and where we are learning several healthcare systems, several like data accessibility and so on. So this is quite interesting. And the other big topic is we are developing right now our next like big project step or product step is our Chat HCP. Because everybody knows ChatGPT, but ChatGPT won't tell you anything about your HCP target group. But our Chat HCP will tell you, because what I already mentioned is that we are doing it content based, right? So we extract any source in the open data space where any physician is talking about your indication. Mm-hmm. And there are so many information about the physicians, about the indications, about the pros and cons, about your product, about the products of competitors, about the latest state of art of the scientifics, whatsoever. And this data is so big and so huge. Like a little KPI in one targeting project, we normally identify on average more than 500,000 sources. And nobody's able to, like on an Excel sheet or whatever, to extract anything. And therefore, we developed an own Chat HCP, which is based on a familiar large language model, where you just can prompt ask your target group with a prompt. Like, for example, tell me in the area of Berlin, name me every digital physician and who's connected with the hospital Charité and who's treating the patients in obesity and, for example, was on a congress about obesity. This is a prompt. This is like a thought which have sales reps out there which have marketing manager, who have commercial excellence manager, all those personas or MSLs, all those people have exactly these questions to their target group, and now they can ask them with a normal prompt like in ChatGPT, but it's specific for your indication, and it will give you a very precise answer because every data point and every data is qualified by us based on the targeting. And we just said, well, you're not only allowed to answer based on the qualified sources. So there's nothing else. There's no like Wikipedia entry or whatever, because everybody could write in a Wikipedia entry. Yeah. And
really interesting. I think, I mean, that's actually something we've also thought about in the past. But in the end, what you're doing is something where you you mentioned that initial discovery workshop you do with your customers, where you ask them, make a wish, how should that ideal persona look like? And with that, you're now basically providing interface where your customers can just put in that wish list, that target persona, and then get direct feedback about who they should target. Exactly. And I think that's also from just independent of the technology behind it, but just from a user experience perspective, that's just a big step forward. Maybe one step further. You're talking to a lot of commercial leaders of pharma companies with regard to targeting, lead generation, finding early adopters, and acquiring customers. What are some advices you usually give those leaders when it comes to making a step up in terms of going? I mean, they all probably have old ways of doing their work, and now solutions like ours have emerged. What's your advice to those leaders, how they can get a competitive advantage over competitors when it comes to targeting?
Be bold. Well, in the pharmaceutical companies, there are, of course, targeting is as old as the concept of prescribing drugs, right? So the concept of identifying the right physicians is quite old as the pharmaceutical sector itself. So at the end, of course, there are many suppliers who have solutions for identifying the right HCPs. But when I talk to my customers, I always hear, well, we are very unhappy with the targeting and the accuracy is so bad and so on and so on. And then I say, well, why don't you try anything new? And then, well, there are so big contracts and it's global and, it's quite hard and at the end and I don't know and so on. And then I'm always happy when we find bold customers and they say, well, you know what, I'm fed up. I want to try something new. And then when they try something new, and with average resources, then they say, okay, this is exactly what we were looking for, and this is exactly what we thought about of how targeting should look like. And this is like every time, this is like also would be my advice to commercial excellence manager or whatever. Just try it, because of course there are several things where other forms of targeting are quite useful. This is of course true, but adding more information, precise information about your HCP, building up personas, knowing where the HCP is talking about, knowing more about the digital affinities. Is he more scientific? Is he more in public area? Is he talking in LinkedIn? Did you had a podcast like we? Yeah. Everything helps you and helps the field force to have a better engagement. And all those data points, I know it. They know pharmaceutical companies who are not working with us together do have it. They have it like in a small way, or they have like analyzed it on a handy way, manually. But And the interesting thing is, Paul, that everybody from our customers, everybody is talking about AI and talking about using this technology, leveraging their processes, their business processing with AI. And when you then talk with them and say, okay, what is an actual use case? Do you have an actual use case? Well, they have AI governance and they have everything prepared for, but really using AI for leveraging your business, like your actual processes, they are not really at the beginning of this. This is like, be bold and try something new to see if your daily challenges will be better solved by suppliers like Alpha Sophia or Exaris.
Yes. Maybe on a higher level, when we think about medical marketing and sales, so whatever happens after we deliver our solutions to our clients, and then they have a target list from you, or they have access to a platform like ours where they can slice and dice the market in every given direction. So they now have a list of potential targets, and they do marketing and sales based on that. Do you see any overarching trends when it comes to marketing and sales? Is digital outreach increasing? What about the sales rep in the field? Is that something which is dying out or always going to be there? What are your thoughts about that?
I think there will be sales reps out there in the future, definitely. But I think they will be more enabled to be like having more time on one HCP, or on the really engaging with the HCP with every topics and concerns and whatsoever, really building up relationships, because at the end, the digital, like the omni-channel topic, is just supporting and engaging with those HCPs who are really already interested and already, I got the message and I want your product and I want the drug and I take it, I will do it. But like keeping them up and keeping them updated and engaged with them, these are like this will support the field force. But to really engage and have, in the pharmaceutical companies, you talk about loyal prescriber, they need to be visited, not just because to drink coffee with them. This is also a part of relationship, but to really understand their needs and their concerns, maybe about your product, or they read a new abstract and a new scientific abstract and want to talk with you about it and want to say, hey, what are your thoughts about it as a company? Do I have to like react in my interaction with the patient? So there are many things who are getting complexer because of the amount of information, and this has to be structured by the field force engaging with the HCP. So I think it will the digital marketing, omni-channel strategies, omni-channel engagement will just help the field force to really talk to those where the tightest relationships are really valuable.
Yeah. So I fully agree with you. I mean, I think the sales rep in the field will never go away, but there's going to be a belt around those sales reps in the field, supporting them and enabling them to use all sorts of channels, ranging from social selling, social interaction with HCPs, email and email campaigns, marketing campaigns in the media outlets those HCPs are using. And so on to then have a 360-degree marketing and sales journey for their HCPs, and then enabling them to get those few minutes with them a few times a year to then go into deeper conversations and talk about the products and those reps are promoting in the end. Nico, it was great having you on the pod. You already shared a few exciting things about Exaris, that you're going into other European markets, that you're launching Chat HCP as your next product in fall. Is there anything else which is up next for you and the company?
Well, for us this year, we are attending several events, commercial excellence events, where we are really happy to be there. For example, the Next Summit in Vienna, really big and great event. And for us as a company, we are really happy that we are boarding on new employees, where we are really waiting and happy because there's a lot of work to do. These are for this year our next steps, like conferences and new and very good employees, and building up a great and bigger team to develop the best targeting.
Exciting. Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Nico, and looking forward to welcoming you back at some point.
Thank you very much for having me, Paul, and great to be on the show. Thank you very much.
Can you afford to have a rep in every county, or do you need to be hyper-targeted in your outreach? Do you need to know information about your targets going in to be successful, or do you have years and years before you want to close that deal? If you want to be focused, if you want to deliver fast, you should visit alphasophia.com and help your sales team out.